supervisor. We'll make Mario a supervisor of the second queue. Okay, so we've got agents assigned to the queue. So that's pretty much it. Now your queue is enabled, and at this point, if I dial 600, the call would come in and it'd be queued up, and the agent would be receiving the calls. Okay, that's the extent of configuring the basic ACD. It's very simplistic. All right. So I go back. Let's go look at the ACD options here. I can create status codes. So these status codes are going to be used from within EAC. So it's, just give me a moment here. I'm going to create a few of these. So the agents, it's important that the agents, if they're not at their desk and answering calls, they need to be in some sort of status because they have to be accountable for their time that they're on the clock. So if they're not receiving calls, it's important that they specify what state or why they're in that state, or what state that they're going to be in that they're not receiving calls. So these are all definable by the customer, obviously. You can define whatever states that the customer feels is important. And usually there's a long list of different reasons. Maybe the agent needs a supervisor assistance. Maybe they're on break. Maybe they're agents in a meeting. Maybe they're in training. Maybe they're working on a special project. For whatever reason, you can add those codes. All right, then we have the WrapUp codes, and the WrapUp codes are going to be used within EAC. So at the end of the call, the agent can assign a WrapUp code pertaining to that particular phone call, so that when you're looking at the call statistics, it would show information about that particular what that call was pertaining to. All right, and these are all definable by the customer. And when you create these WrapUp codes, the WrapUp codes that are defined you can specify which queues they're going to be available for. Okay, we've created the sales queue, the support queue, there's the inbound queue and outbound queue. By default, it'll be set for all queues. So let's say, especially some sales related, for the sales agents, maybe at the end of the call, the customer paid the invoice. Okay, so you can specify that. And again, you can say that, well, these are only pertaining to the sales queue, for example. Maybe they can't payment pending. Maybe let's go ahead and add these others so we can have these. Customer not interested. Canceled service. And add one more, maybe a follow-up needed. All right, these will make more sense when we log into EAC and take a look at that. All right, the skills, I'm not going to take a look, get into the skills-based routing this morning, but you can assign skills, that you feel are important. Maybe they're high in customer service. The agent could be high in customer service. Their skill set is high in customer service. Maybe that same person might be low in customer service. Maybe you've got the maybe they're high in technical support, so that you can have all these different skills, and you can assign a value to them and what level or how skilled that agent is in each one of those particular skill sets. All right. So let's go. At this point, we've configured the basic ACD queue. We've got the agents in the queue. The only thing we need to look at next is going to be the call routing. David, I think we'll answer your question here in a little bit, so hold on for that. So next we're going to take a look at the call routing. So I've got an incoming. If I go to telephony and go to call routing, most of you are familiar with our call routing table. I've got a DID. Okay, so this DID, you can see it's the pattern. It has a +1 in front of it. It's the EIN, what they call the EIN format, and then the 972 area code, the 10-digit phone number. All right, so that's the DID that's being sent to me from my on my SIP trunk. And what I want to do is I want to delete all 12 characters, which would include the plus and include the 1. And I want to replace that with the extension in the system, in this case extension 600. And you notice I also put a time frame around this, so this call is only going to be valid Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It'll be calling to extension 600. After that, so after 5 p.m., it'll find the next matching entry, still delete all 12 digits or characters, and it's going to go to the auto attendant at extension 00. So very easily you can have a schedule, put a schedule behind it. So that's it. So I've got my DID assigned, and now I'm going to have incoming calls to that particular queue. All right, so I'm going to just make let's just go ahead and make an initial call. Let's see if the call comes in. And I understand that I'm doing this behind the scenes. I got about 3 phones sitting here in front of me. Our agents are currently assisting other callers. Please hold on, and your call will be answered in the order that was received. All right, so the caller hears the greeting message, and the calls are coming in, and they're presented to the extensions, to the agents. All right, so I answered the call by Agent Andy, and so that's it. That's how easy it is to configure the basic ACD. Okay, very, very, like I said, very simplistic, and I want to re-emphasize that. Okay, so we're going to make several calls. I'm going to log in. I'm going to show you EAC here in a moment. I love it when everything goes as planned. All right, so we got the login, and you notice here at the top for the EAC application, which is what we're going to look at next and probably spend the rest of the time that we have. The EAC application, right on the front page of the QX login, you'll see the drop down for the application, and it says Epygi ACD Console. I click on that, okay, and you can get there directly if you just wanted to give the agents this login. Maybe you could, maybe you've got a domain name server. You can name this something local, so that they refer to it as ACD login or something, whatever you want to call it, and it could direct them to this link. Okay, and they would put in their agent name, put in their password, log in, and this is EAC, okay, Epygi ACD Console. Okay, so let's see what happens when I receive that same call again. So I'm logged in. Well, first of all, let's look at our state. Okay, and at the top you see it's green, which is it shows the state, it's online. And I could put myself in the agent can be in an away state, they could be in do not disturb, they can be offline. And here's the different states that I created earlier, which is break, meeting, special projects, supervisor help. If I put myself in any one of these states, you can see it changes to blue. And at that point, I'm not going to be receiving any incoming calls. Okay, until such time that I go back to an online state. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to redial. All right, get the incoming call. You can see the calls being presented to me. My phone is ringing. You can hear the and then you've got the background music. The phones are still ringing. All right, let's go ahead and answer. Okay, so I've answered the call here from my local extension 100. You can see my state up top. It turns to like a yellow or amber color. That shows that I'm talking. I'm in a busy state. So here's the information on the caller. Has the caller ID. Has my call duration. Shows I'm in call. And at this point I can click end call. I can transfer the call to somebody else. I can do that from here. All right, so let's. I'm actually going to end the call. The call's hung up. It's released. You notice it's my state is now in this purple, which means that is the wrap-up time. So I'm not in an online. I'm online, but I'm not available to receive calls. Okay, so I'm in the wrap-up state, and it will be that way for about 30 seconds. I should have made that a little bit shorter. Okay, actually. Let's go ahead and do that because I do want to make several calls here. So let's go back. I want to change that wrap-up time within the sales queue. All right, you see the wrap-up time. It's currently set for 30 seconds. Let's make that maybe, let's set it for maybe 10 seconds. Should be enough. And we'll save that. All right, let's go ahead and make an outbound call. So this can be used as an outbound call center as well. So here you just put in the number that you're going to be placing a call to. Remember, you could do copy paste, and then for the number here to speed things up. But if you go ahead and click dial, my phone rings. As soon as I answer the call, now it places the outbound call. So I called the Epygi, the main number, 972-692-1166. All right, we want to probably receive a couple more calls because we're trying to build a few, some of the statistics here as well while we're demonstrating this. All right, so the call comes in. Maybe this time I'm not going to answer the call, and I'll answer on another phone. I've got this extension 103. Okay, so now that the call, I've answered it on another extension, and so he basically missed the call. That was like a ring timeout. All right, so let's. So this is the basic agent page that they have that they're going to see. I can also click on the queues. Okay, there's the direct inbound queues and direct outbound queue. All right, the inbound queue is. Keep in mind you have the agents. They're taking calls and they need to be accountable for their time. Well, some of that time might be spent. Maybe somebody called them directly. Maybe a customer knows their phone number and called them directly. Maybe they called through the main office auto attendant. Maybe somebody in the office called directly to this agent's extension 100. Okay, so that's considered a direct inbound call to the agent. All right, so they need to have credit for time spent on the phone. And at the end of the day, the supervisor